every pony and every creature. Welcome to Tonight at DAG. As always, this is Dratta Arcana on Dratta Talks. And joining to me tonight is special guest.
I'm assuming you just said my name because you cut out halfway there.
No, I did not. Who are you?
I stand corrected. Well, yeah, I'm Professor Hubert von Sith. I am a radiologist, and I also study fandoms as a whole.
Okay, that's a neat introduction, Circuit Main.
Thank you. I wish I could have come up with better. I admit my brain is quite functioning.
That's fine. So, what happened to ponies?
Oh, it's dead. I mean, yeah, you may get the odd picture that's been around, but I mean, it's completely dead at this point. There's no such thing. There's no more ponies out there. I mean, you can go to Walmart, you might see a toy or two, but nobody's creating anything. I mean, you might see the random Kickstarter out there that's promoting a new card game that somebody just sent me. That doesn't mean absolutely anything. I mean, Equestria Daily still posts about new music that's coming out. That's just old backlog stuff that they've had for 5 years that they're just... I mean, you can go to Derpy Baru, you can see all of this art. It's just blasé art. This is stuff that they've completely forgotten about. It's been in the back burner for weeks. I mean, nothing new has possibly come out. I mean, look at the fandom there. The last time they had a Brony convention, there were 3 people, and one of them was named Pablo, and unfortunately, he was trying to get things that... Let's just say Pablo has issues. Pablo has some really bad issues. But the thing is, the fandom is completely dead. In fact, I don't even know why we're talking about this. I thought we were talking about the anime scene, and Dr. Stone is definitely one of the best animes to come out in recent years. Naruto, move your pants over.
Well, in all seriousness, that's definitely, a great way to go into it. And with the show ending, that is the perfect example of what is not happening.
I think anybody worth their salt is kind of realize that it's not going to happen. Most people were basically reacting in a way that they figured the fandom was going to vanish. It was literally almost like every single piece of media ever created was going to disappear into the aether, like it was going to become Flash in the next year, that it would be some sort of weird swan song, something you would remember and regale your kids about, and it's like, that doesn't exist, Dad, and you're like, well, shut up and get me another beer.
Exactly. And the fandom, the short version of this podcast is the fandom's not going anywhere. The very long version is actually what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we can talk about the future of MLP, let's talk about the end of the show and the mixed feelings that fans have about the ending.
Hello?
Yeah. Did you not catch that?
Oh, sorry. You kind of broke up near the end there. I'm sorry, Dratta.
Oh, it's fine. I guess my side's having audio issues. So what are kind of the fans' general feelings about the last 3 episodes of MLP from what you've seen?
To be honest, actually, that's kind of been an interesting premise, because the feelings have been different. And I mean just different in the way the fans observed the episode. Now, for the most part, the initial response was pretty much death, doom, demise, and everything in between. But obviously that's not what's happening. That's not what's going to happen. But the reaction we got was from the early fans that got a hold of the leaks, and basically they're the kind that can't help themselves with anything. No offense, guys. But, a lot of us wanted to hold out and just wait for the official releases and not shotgun the rest of the entire series while it was out. But the ones that did, they basically were breathing doom, gloom, boom, and were actually ridiculously upset, some of the show creators, which was really sad, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when the actual premiere, when the actual finale aired on Discovery Family on the appropriate date, the reaction has been and has continued to be a lot more open, positive, and hopeful for the future.
And I know several groups of fans got together to watch the series together. New York had a meetup. Little Shy FIM was there. You know, our group here in the Midwest had a meetup in Illinois to watch the finale together. You know, so fans really decided to go out with a bang, just like at BronyCon 2019.
I think if you look at with at what fans did with BronyCon, I think that's more than peak evidence that the fandom isn't going to die. I can't disagree that it's going to change. Things will be different because that's just the way fandoms do thrive.
Yeah.
If we continue to stay the exact same as we were back when the fandom was first starting to come out in 2011, 2012, it would not have survived. I mean, back then, a majority of what we had were pony jokes that were a little bit meme based on really silly memes combined with the Dover Boys. And along with that, a lot of YouTube poops, which are still hilarious and fun, but you know, we had to expand into more. We had to expand into the idea of animation, fan fiction stories, actually reading the fan fiction stories, reviewers coming out to talk about the show, and many, many, many other things that have come out and adapted and evolved since then. So Bronies will always, you know, Bronies do evolve and things will change with the fandom, but it's not going anywhere.
I mean, if we can survive the fires of 4chan and the critical news negativity, you know, if we can survive that, we can survive the show ending.
Actually, I think the irony is that the fires of 4chan was what stoked the actual Brony fandom to really get out and about. Because instead of just being relegated to a 4chan board, which they still have their board on 4chan, I might add. They ended up going out and making their own sites, their own boards, their own little communities that other people got attached to and got to be part of.
Like Equestria Daily.
But Equestria Daily is one big one there too.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, as we go forward, you got Winnie City 2020 coming up. You got TrotCon 2020 coming up. TrotCon trying to take over BronyCon's kind of group. And mind you...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't think that's the case with TrotCon. I mean, it's fun to speculate on that, but TrotCon's doing what it always has been doing. The reason that it got so popular is, oddly enough, because of a meme of all things.
That's true.
But
yeah.
If you really want to go with somebody that's probably kind of gunning for the BronyCon spot, but at the same time not, it would probably be Everfree. I mean, Everfree is a big one there too, because instead of scaling down operations, they actually have another hotel that they're going to, a bigger space. They moved everything over into August, the same time as BronyCon once was.
Yeah,
And
Cider Fest too is also moving to a larger space.
Well, I don't know about Cider Fest because that is actually happening next week, and
not this coming week. Yeah, Cider Fest is just around the corner. It's literally next week. Cider Fest next year for 2020, I heard through some grapevines that they'll be potentially getting a larger space.
I'd like to see that. I really would.
Too. Yeah. I know for me personally, I've already submitted my community guest app for TrotCon, for 2020 TrotCon. So we'll see what happens there. But, you know, the fandom isn't really going to go anywhere. We have too many content creators, too many artists, you know. we got all these merc creators and stuff. So, you know, I'm sure that for them, it's going to change. You know, some of them might have to start drawing non-ponies.
Well, I wouldn't say have to. I mean, I'd say that they're going to expand their horizons like previous content creators have done. A lot of artists and animators that I used to follow back when have definitely did change what they used to do, but they do still come back to pony from time to time, and I still enjoy their new stuff as well as their old.
Like why Pony's got that Let's Have Lunch series.
There's definitely that. Yep. Of course, it's not going to be ultimately the content creators we have now. It's the ones that will come in the future that will keep the fandom going as well. Other people that will be inspired by the show, maybe even by the show ending. So now it basically any headcanon out there, aside from what the comics will bring, of course, is plausible at this point, and they can actually create fan fictions and stories that can actually be used for that.
Now, for those of us really desperately wanting a season 10, there will be a season 10 comic.
Indeed. There's the season 10 comic. They could still make other pony stories in published form. I mean, they did create quite a few with the Cutie Mark Slews. Giambaro really made quite a few of them. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any come out recently, but it doesn't mean that they aren't in the works.
And then Hasbro released a charity set that you can buy as of the recording of this video, the 3 pony magic cards.
Yeah, yep, I already got mine ordered, and unfortunately I didn't get a hold of the mats before they vanished, so that's kind of...
I feel so bad that I can't get them because I really wanted to support it, but it's like, I just moved. It's like, you know, but despite that, the fandom is going to stay strong, and I think that the change we're going to have to go through is, as a fandom, we're going to have to pick up the slack where the show left the hole. Or we can all just jump over to Gen 5 and start redoing our pony OCs.
Well, at the moment, I want to wait to see what G5 brings with a grain of salt, if it even brings anything at all. That as we can hope that G5 will come and it will carry the same torch that G4 did. Well, it may not be as strong, maybe it's even better, but at the same time, the what we have now is also great. We can make so much content with what we already have. Waiting for G5 sounds good, but we can also just continue with what we have now.
Right.
And make stories and everything out of that, yeah.
And I actually just started a fan fiction for myself. So I started writing a fan fiction of my OC, and that's been doing okay. So I'm working on chapter 2 right now, and you know, so even for me, and I'm sure for you as well, Circuit Main, we both will continue making our podcast, you know, every week.
Well, I don't know about my podcast. I think we just feel like it'd be funner to see what happens if we start setting it on fire.
Well, I know mine's gonna try to stick around and stuff because I want to keep this thing going, but I'm also delving back into a lot of what my channel first was, which is video game content. So I'm trying to mix the two, and it's been going pretty well. And I'm opening up my horizons on other potential videos because I now have this new space, and I'm like, oh, I have the perfect space now to make videos, you know? So I think that, you know, as content creators and as fans of the show, we can continue to make content, and I don't see that going away. The one
I don't think, yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't think the content creation will ever really end as long as the passion is always there, and it always seems to be. The thing about about fandom content is how people receive it, and with all content out there, it's not only the fans but the fans of the fans.
Right.
When an artist hears that their artwork was wonderful and beautiful and people just can't wait to buy it over at a convention, when a musician makes a wonderful set and they're invited to raise the roof over at a Brony convention and they have everybody bouncing so hard that the hotel has to call the police.
Right.
That's always fun.
That is.
But yeah, I think the best thing that any fan can do for the show, for the community in itself, is just to let the content creators know how much they care.
Right.
As much passion as content creators have, it's always nice to hear, I like this. This is wonderful. Please keep it up. Thank you for taking your time and effort to contribute this.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been getting those comments now recently, and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel so good. It makes me actually encouraged to continue doing what I'm doing. And, so it's not going to be that we're going to be starved for content as a fandom. I think where it's going to get a little iffy is conventions.
Conventions are going to unfortunately wind down a little bit. There's no holding back on that, but it doesn't mean that they're going to stop altogether.
Right.
We already have a more than a handful of conventions that are still going on, and there's several that have plans for this year and maybe the next. Several have already touted that they're going to continue running as long as people come to them. So I'd say, we're as much as people hate, as much as bronies hate the comparison sometimes, I think we're going to be like the furry community in regards to that, where there are going to be a handful of conventions out there, but they're going to keep coming and going, and as long as we continue to go, they will continue to come.
Exactly. And I know that for many of the brony artists, most of their income actually doesn't come from conventions. It comes from selling their art online.
True enough.
Yeah.
Commissions are always the big thing there.
Yeah.
By the way, please be nice and when you commission your artists. These people do work really hard and they spend hours at a time to make your artwork.
Yes, please do that. If you need tips about how to commission an artist, I did a podcast on it, so check my channel for it, telling you the do's and don'ts of when commissioning. So please check that video out if you do commission. But please be respectful of the artist, because these people do a wonderful job and they deserve your kindness. But I know that we can talk all night about how the fandom is going to continue and going to, the fans that are currently fans and the passion of content creators and stuff. But I think the one thing we probably won't see is we might get a brony to be a new brony here and there. But I don't think we're going to go through another growth spurt. Even if G5 turns out to be phenomenal, I don't think we're going to have another growth spurt as big as we did back in season 2.
And unfortunately, I can't argue against that. G4 was a perfect storm of a lot of different things, and in some ways, it was kind of what people needed at the time. G5 might hit a lot of the same notes, and it might do a really good job of getting others interested in the brony community as a whole. It might not do anything at all. It's really hard to say until it actually does happen, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get a massive growth, but that's not such a bad thing. Sometimes a slow growth is a lot better than a flash in the pan when it comes to any community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of communities out there to start tooting horns here. I mean, there was a massive communities out there that were completely nuts, and now not so much. I mean, you still can see their fans, but they're quieter than they have been. Rick and Morty had a massive fan base. Unfortunately, they were also kind of flash in the pan and a little rabid at times. You still got their fans out there, but you don't hear anything about the Rick and Morty fans at the moment now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Rick and Morty's the only one I could think of right off the top of my head. Probably because season 4 is coming out.
Probably. I think that, fandoms in general will always struggle when, certain, especially ones related to shows like Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all these shows, movies that get a fandom. Sometimes when the show ends, the fandom kind of just dies. And we have to look at things realistically. I think the Brony fandom will stay around like the Star Trek fandom stayed around. And that's probably because we have one of Star Trek's famous characters as Discord.
Well, I think that helps, but I don't think that's the reason the fandom is going to stick around. I think it's going to stick around because this fandom's done a lot of things that no other fandom can really claim. I've never seen, I've seen conventions touted around the genre of a fandom. I mean, anime fans have their own conventions, cartoon fans have their own conventions, comic fans have their own conventions, but very few are based around a single show like the Star Trek fandoms, the Star Wars fandoms, and the Doctor Who fandoms. We were able to pull that off with ponies.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is that this fandom has done something that I think really puts a lot of the other fandoms kind of to shame. And I don't mean to toot the Bronies fandom's horn, but the amount of charity money that we have raised as a group and as a fandom has been spectacular. The amount of money we've raised for charity.
Well, I don't think we do that just to show off against some of the fandoms. We do it because we care as a community. I mean, we're going to do a lot of charities because we care. We're going to do a lot of donations because we care. We're going to help out each other because we care. But that's also what makes that's also why our fandom is going to continue on, though others may falter. Because we care enough that we're willing to donate time, money, and energy to helping others as well as people we don't even know.
See, and that's where our fandom really kind of separates us, is we care because the show taught us to care. And the show taught us the lessons of how important it is to support one another, to be friends, to contribute, to be generous, to be kind, to be loyal, to be, to laugh, and to ultimately, have that magic. And, it's, the show taught us that. And that's why I think the fandom's going to continue.
But I think at the same time we shouldn't just put all of the pressure, all of the credit on the show itself, but to the fans behind the show. Because I mean, the big motto of the early fandom, love and tolerate, wasn't part of the show. Well, I mean, the show did preach it. Preach is probably the bad word, not a word. The show, even though the show kind of showed us to love and tolerate, we were the ones that actually created the motto and basically spread it far and wide.
I heard it was an anti-Brony who came up with the love and tolerant thing.
Honestly, I would actually believe that, but considering for some reason anti-Brony seem to do a lot more help for us than damage, it's kind of hilarious, really.
Yeah. Well, that's a topic for another video, another podcast. But I think you're right. I think that the show got us started, but really it's been the fans that have kept the fandom going. And the fandom, one of the things that our fandom has that maybe kills a lot of fandoms is that it's not reliant on the show. And we've seen that. I've interviewed many artists, pony artists, who draw and do paints and stuff, Some of them even do convention art. Even some of the higher level convention like managers and stuff, surprisingly, they haven't seen past season 4.
Yeah. I mean, it is fun to keep up with the show, but yeah, it's the show itself hasn't been what's been causing a lot of the fandom to burn for so long. It's just what the people have enjoyed with the community itself.
And
I'd say we actually have, sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
I kind of agree with you in that we've evolved beyond the show already. It was sad to see it end, but a lot of us actually stopped looking to the show for inspiration and support long ago, and we started to hold it for ourselves. If anything, the show was essentially the final passing of the torch for us to realize that we got rid of our training wheels long ago.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. I don't think, that we need... I think it's kind of sad to say, because I loved the final episode. I loved the season 9 finale. And as much as I didn't like the rest of season 9, I really enjoyed the last problem. But I think that with the show now over, it's up to us. We don't have the training wheels anymore. We don't have any new canon content unless it's the comics. But I think that we haven't needed that for a long time. And that's why I think the fandom's going to continue. We're still going to get people making music, still people doing art, still reviews. Heck, the reviewing community is like stuck on, they haven't even caught up with the full show yet. So that's going to continue. And I think it's that fan-made content that will keep us strong.
Yep.
Well, any final thoughts?
I don't know. I tout this a lot on my own show, but just because this is the hill I'm going to probably end up dying on. I know everybody out there, it's hard to do it sometimes, and you don't want to put yourself up to judgment, but the fandom really is going to rely on the content that is created. When, it's not always a easy thing. It's going to take time and effort, and it's going to sometimes turn out like crap. But the content creators are really going to be what keeps the fandom ultimately going. And it's, go ahead and reach out and try making content. It doesn't have to be Picasso of art. It doesn't have to be the greatest music trend since Cider Party or even Alex S. It doesn't have to be an amazing animation like Children of the Night. It can be the simplest thing. We've already seen fandoms make our fandom make silly, quick things with anthology and with In a Nutshell. I mean, In a Nutshell is basically stick ponies and an auto voice thing, but everybody loves that regardless.
Yeah.
The thing is to express yourself with your love of the community, your love of ponies, and be able to show your creative side. So that my strongest challenge to anybody out there in the community, go out there, make something. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be even good. Go ahead and mess up. Do something stupid and horrible. I tried making hay cake sandwiches. That was terrible. But I learned from that, and I actually have an idea of how to make a literal hay burger sandwich now because of that. And awesome. It is pretty awesome. It's basically hash browns, but still, ideas can happen. And yes, you're gonna screw up, but go out there, make something, and you'll be surprised not only how great it's going to feel when you start making the stuff and you actually start seeing yourself get better. You're gonna see the community thriving just a little bit more because you took the time to put in a little bit of effort. because I believe in all of you, and I know all of you have a little bit of a creative spirit in so many ways. And I want to see what this fandom can actually pull off, even if we haven't seen what else has come out. There could be something we've never thought of before that could be pony, that could have pony related stuff to it. And you could be the first to even do it. That's the beauty of all of this.
Yeah. And you don't even have to make something as simple as what I do, Dratta Talks, which is literally just talk between multiple people. But I agree. I think that just get out and do it. You know, I started my podcast because I was just like, I'm going to do a podcast. And look what it evolved into. So I would encourage everyone to give content creation a try, because if you can contribute to this community, you don't necessarily even have to do content on YouTube. You can have...
In fact, I'd advise against YouTube a little bit. It's gotten weirdly.
It has.
Actually, you know what? No, keep going YouTube. Just don't expect to make money off of it. Please don't.
Yeah, no, don't expect to make money off YouTube. But if you can make content related to ponies, heck, merge it with, like, have crossovers with other, other content. Merge the two together or whatever. It's ultimately up to us as a fandom to provide the content to keep the fandom going. And unfortunately, Circuit Main, I think we're a little over time. So, as always, guys, this is Dratta Arcana at Dratta Talks. And if you're looking to contact me, you can contact me at dratta.arcana@gmail.com or Dratta Arcana Gaming on Facebook. As always, I now have a Discord. Link will be in the description. And as always, guys, take care, every pony and every creature. And this is Dratta Arcana with special guest.
Hi, I'm special guest Circuit Main.
And check out his channel, The Brony Show. It's amazing. And we'll see you guys on the next video.